everybody? It's your boy SSBU at it again with yet another video. So we got another key to Sora guide today, and for today we got Blizzaga. We're gonna talk about everything that you need to know about Blizzaga, all the different traits and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying, what we'll cover. And yeah, I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. So before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you could like, comment, and subscribe to the video, and also, subscribe to the channel, and also turn the post notification bell on. But without further ado, let's get into it. Also, a small disclaimer before we start. So I will be editing all of my videos myself from now on, as my previous editors of Pop and Moon are unable to edit anymore. So very special shout out to them. Thank you so much for helping me and doing that. I really appreciate y'all. So that means that the editing quality will be tanking a little bit until I learn how to edit a lot of different things myself. So please bear with me, but the content is still here and it will still be as informative as the other previous guides and other previous, videos and stuff like that. Well, we still got the good content for y'all, all right? But yeah, all right, for real this time, let's go ahead and get into the video. Blizzaga is a much more straightforward spell with great uses, and all of which are powerful, but not as much as, but don't need as much theory crafting in order to be able to use it. So in this guide, I'll be explaining to you how a spell works and all of its purposes behind it. All right. So Blizzaga has several uses to it, such as zoning, Ledgetrapping, Edgeguarding, Whiff Punishing, and kill setups. Although it's not as much as the previous spell that I've discussed, which is Blizzaga, this spell Blizzaga has its own uses and are very helpful to be able to help you set the tone in a lot of matches with Sora, and also just, again, you have to use all of these spells. Every single spell that he has is important and for a good reason, all right? But without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So, how Blizzaga works. As previously stated, Blizzaga is a pretty to-the-point kind of spell in how it's used. So it covers Sora in front of him and sends out several little projectiles that aim to hit your opponent. It also has a freeze effect to it, to where you can put your opponent into a frozen icicle and they have to mash to get out of it. You do not need to hit multiple projectiles in order for this to work either. All you need is just one little particle, boop, you know what I'm saying, and they're already frozen to connect in order for it to work. So if the very first projectile or the very last one hits, you will still be able to freeze them, which is good. And also, depending on your spacing, it changes where your opponent will end up when they're frozen. So if you are close, Blizzaga will pop them up into the air and allow them to break free. This is an opportunity for you to reset neutral if you feel that your opponent is pressuring you too much. Just because if you try to catch them as they get popped up that high, you might be putting yourself either at risk to be reversaled or get put in disadvantage yourself, or it just might take a little bit too much commitment when you could have just stayed on the ground, chilled, and then boom, you just reset. If you are standing further away from your opponent, it will keep them onto the stage or closer to the stage, or just at about your height level when you do freeze them, which is also quite good as well. It's these two different things to take into account. With being able to stand further away from your opponent and freezing them, it essentially forces a 50-50 that can turn into a kill situation at higher percents and force bad options out of your opponents at lower percents. The higher percent your opponent is in, the longer they are frozen. The lower percent that your opponent is at, the shorter that they are frozen. Your opponent also has the mix-up of breaking out at different times, just because when they are put into that icicle, they can mash and adjust their mash speed, or they don't mash at all. Eventually they'll get out, but it's all about understanding how that 50-50 works and where they're going to break out at. You can also use Blizzaga to slightly speed up the timing that it will take them to mash out, starting from mid to high percent. You can do it at low percent, but it's just kind of pointless because they're already going to break out really quickly anyway, so you can just read that and do that very quickly. So this makes 50-50 even more deadly if you aim to mess up your opponent's options to get out of being frozen and causes more panic. So this 50-50 as a whole is one of your main objectives in using this spell. And with everything that will be talked about and covered, we want to put that our opponent in that situation, that 50-50 situation. What options you have is you can wait for your opponent to break out, and you can either do a charged up smash, you can wait for an air dodge and punish with either a grab, dash attack, forward smash, or down smash. Also, you can confirm into Blizzaga as they pop out. That can potentially lead to more extensions. However, this is an advanced concept and will be discussed thoroughly in a later video, since there is a confirm created by your boy SSBU behind it. So that will be covered in a later video. Now, Blizzaga also has great ways to be used as a respectful get off me and stay away from me tool. It is solid yet annoying enough for your opponent to know that they have to respect this range. While being on the ground and using the spell is good, you are also able to full hop or short hop while using it to cover certain angles and heights. These different jump heights are especially important because you can be punished by an opponent who can full hop or double jump over your grounded attempts of doing the spell and punish you for doing so. And sometimes this could be very costly. You can also double jump and use Blizzaga as well, but it is not recommended since it will take you a little bit to set this up properly. And if you miss or get hit out of it, you no longer have a double jump and could be put into disadvantage. Keep these options in mind while playing against certain opponents and understanding where they ideally want to go when they're fighting against you. As per all spells, be mindful of your spacing, as this move is -17 on shield, meaning you can be hard punished with either grabs or smash attacks if this is shielded correctly. And remember, we're not exactly the heaviest character on Earth, so you will die to a good amount of characters at some very ugly percents if you do not do this correctly. Blizzaga's Whiff Punish game is not only an amazing way to keep your opponent on your toes, but it also goes hand in hand with your zoning. So you can use this spell to stop someone from approaching you with an attack or a grab, punish a failed attempt of attacking you and freezing them. You can jump, then be reversed, jump backwards, then be reversed to punish what they were going to hit you with on the ground. Or you can dash back, then be reversed and punish when they were initially going to end up, where they were going to initially end up when attacking or grabbing you. All of these situations all lead into either resetting neutral for you, since they're like super close and you'll get that spacing where they get popped up, or if you get the far away hitbox, the far away spacing, they lead you back into the same kill setup situations as I mentioned before. Blizzaga has a lot of uses for ledge trapping and makes it easy for you to set up into additional situations or reset your ledge traps if timed correctly. Please keep in mind, with the different options you can cover, you may have to use the spell slightly earlier or later than you would expect. As previously mentioned, you can also stay on the ground, full hop and do the spell, or short hop and do the spell. You can also double jump to do this setup, but it is not recommended as normal jumps and being on the ground are better options and are less of a commitment. It can cover neutral get up attack, jump, roll, in which if you're trying to use the spell forward, you would have to space yourself back a little bit and then use it. Or you can cover roll where they go behind you and then you just be reversed and then use the Blizzaga that way. Or when they drop, then double jump onto ledge. All of these different options can either lead you into trying to potentially kill with the 50-50 situation where you can kill with up smash, down smash, or you knock them back off stage to reset your ledge trap. As I told you before, like I said, this spell is gonna keep leading you back into the same similar situations that we want. Finally, Blizzaga also has powerful uses offstage against your opponent. Following the spacing of the spell that was discussed before, it's important that the spell is spaced to where your opponent falls with you instead of popping back up. In most cases, this should be practiced because once you do the spell and they pop up too high, you may not be able to continue your edge guard depending on the character that you're fighting. And also the fact that they may still have their double jump and then they can air dodge back to ledge, and now you are the one that is to be ledge trapped because they got back on time and we're still floaty, and it takes a little bit of time for us to get back on stage. However, if your opponent is at higher percentages and is popped back up and has to air dodge, you may have time to double jump, then meet right where they're at, and then up B them to knock them further back off stage. This may continue your edge guard, or you might have just got a little bit of damage to set up a ledge trap. So it depends on the situation. This spell will become the most useful for edge guarding at higher percentages, since it will take longer for your opponent to match out of it. And following the far away spacing, by the time that they've broken out, they may have already fell too low and they can't recover in time, even with like a double jump and an up B, or with multiple jumps and stuff like that. Depends on the character. So this situation for Blizzaga takes a bit of practice to understand and do correctly. It's going to take a lot of trial and error, or trial by fire if you know what that means, and grinding, and a lot of grinding for you to understand the concept behind it. But I know that y'all can do it. It's a little bit complex, but that's Sora, right? He's already complex, so we got it. Alright everyone, that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed it. In the next part, I'll be covering the last spell, Blizzaga. If you like the video, like and comment on what you think, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Deuces.